Hi, I'm Vanessa Cuellar. I'm from Houston, Texas, born and raised. Growing up, I really enjoyed just the performance arts like dance, singing, theater. And so whenever I was about in 8th, 7th grade, I did start being homeschooled just to take more time for that and myself. And I really enjoyed it. It gave me more time to just be with my family and be with my friends and do the things I really loved and enjoyed. And so from that time, I went and I graduated from this homeschooling co-op, which was really fun. And I was really looking for something that really felt like community. And so whenever I was starting to look at different colleges, of course there was some closer to home, some that would require me to go out, but whenever I visited HBU, it was very, very different in a very special way. And so I knew that I felt really at home here. And so it really kicked off with a couple camps that really solidified the decision the summer before my freshman year. And so I met a lot of new friends. It was a really great experience, and that really started my journey here at HBU. I'm a senior now, and so I'm about to graduate with a finance degree, which I'm really excited about. I've always been really good at numbers, and so with my finance degree, I've just been really working hard to understand all the knowledge in my courses that they've been giving me. The professors have been really helpful and really personable and approachable, which I really much appreciate. And so with that, I've been looking for different job opportunities for when I graduate, really at commercial banking. And so I'm hoping to kind of mix my people skills with that background with numbers and just finance in general. And so with that, just either sales or maybe even underwriting in commercial banks, I'm very flexible in where I would want to go. And so it's just been a journey here. I do also love traveling all throughout my life. That's something that my parents instilled in me, just a love for travel. We've been so many places as a family, but also I've gone out and done my own journeys, one of which being a 2-week backpacking trip through Alaska by myself, which is really amazing, super awesome. And so with that, I know that I really want to go out in the world and start being just that independent person that God's called me to be, and also just see the world, see His creation, and just talk to His people. So all of that together is something that I'm trying to do in my daily life, but also just reach for my futuristic goals. So.
Vanessa, that is really cool. I mean, 2 weeks in Alaska.
Yeah.
By yourself.
By myself, out of my family. I did meet a group there that I hadn't known beforehand, which sounds kind of crazy, but it was an organization that had paired us together for like high schoolers that are either upper level or graduating. And so we went through and we packed all of our stuff in our backpacks and went out and went backpacking through Alaska. It was quite a time.
I love Alaska. I've flown out in the wild, and my goodness, there's no place quite like it. You know. So you were homeschooled from 7th grade on, and I love that homeschooling group of students, because I've met some just uniquely skilled, prepared young people. I mean, and I think that area is growing like crazy right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if it's the pandemic or if it's just the way traditional education's going. So tell me, what's your takeaway of how it equipped you to go to university as opposed to if you wouldn't have been homeschooled?
So at the time, it wasn't as a popular decision. I kind of just saw a couple of my friends that were being homeschooled. I don't think it was their decision, but from my point of view, I saw how their schedule was, and it was a lot more, or my schedule at the time was a lot more time consuming what they had seemed like they had. So I talked to my mom about it, and so she made it happen. She had gotten this curriculum for me, and that's one thing about it. It's very hands-on and very, you have to have your own determination to finish it, because I think at the beginning, since I was so young, I would let maybe a couple of days go by where I'm like, oh, let me watch these videos, but then kind of just let them like go on. But very quickly I learned if you don't put in the work, it's not any time and effort that you put in will really be valuable, because you'll learn the things that you need to and truly internalize it. And so throughout my time, that's just something that I learned very quickly, like make sure that you have what you need and go for it. And so throughout my time, I did first virtual, where I'm just looking at a computer screen and completely looking at just books and going back and forth. But then in high school, I had done like a co-op where it's basically a bunch of homeschoolers who get together and have different classes together, which very much mimics university. And I think that's something that really helped me out. So not only do I get really, just really great knowledge from all the teachers and textbooks, but I also get that sense of I'm here with people, and that really was an easy transition from high school to university because of that. It was just something that schedule-wise and also just effort, like as far as like putting in my best foot forward, I had already started kind of training from that young age, and I really appreciate it because it didn't seem so scary anymore. It just seemed like exciting to get into the next phase of my life.
You must have an incredible mom.
Oh, I love her so much. She's amazing.
Now, here you are graduating with a finance degree from Houston Baptist University. If you reduced it to the 2 or 3 reasons why you came to HBU, what would those reasons be?
One of them definitely being the amount of just care that you feel from even the faculty, staff, really anybody who goes here. Like I mentioned, I went to a couple camps before I started my freshman year, and right off the bat, people would already come and say, hey, if you need help with anything, like let us know. And I did get a lot of help from people on staff. I kind of got to see how the school operated beforehand. That's something I always really enjoyed because coming from that homeschool background, sometimes it seems like such a big, scary world. There's so many people out there, but when you see a friendly face, you feel more comfortable. And so whenever I started seeing those people again, it was just really refreshing because I knew that I didn't have to feel uncomfortable or uneasy, that this was a place that people really cared for me and my growth. Also, just the proximity in a sense, like everything just feels so just connected, whether it's just friends of friends that you just get to meet, and then all of a sudden like it's expanded the amount of people you know, or even how you talk to professors and they know somebody who you can reach out to. That's something that I'm going through now, something that my professors have had people who come from the workforce come in and just kind of talk, and I've been able to just reach out to those people and really just dive deep into their brain about their positions at work, and so those things for sure were things that just I didn't even understand how just helpful that would be at the time, but now almost being done with my bachelor's, I could not be more thankful for it because it made this time just that more enjoyable. Super.
How was the transition from homeschooling to the university curricula, the academia that you've accomplished here at HBU?
Yeah, it was a slight adjustment, nothing too crazy, because my courses kind of mimic the time, like where you met a couple times a week, and then you would finish your homework per se, and then come back in high school. So the same timing wise it felt like, but just with the professors, even the way that they taught, it felt like a step up from what I had learned in high school, because all of a sudden it was more degree oriented. It got to at some points after basics and stuff, and so I knew that at the end of right now where I'm at, it all goes back to even the beginning of freshman or sophomore year, because they're really building blocks in university where if you miss something, you have to go back because they really build on top of each other. And so that was something that I had to kind of readjust, because in high school we were just kind of learning about just general things that I had enjoyed, but at the same time I knew that me personally, I wasn't maybe going to go into a science like chemistry or even history. They were just things that I enjoyed reading about, but now that it was more personalized to me in my degree, it was challenging in a good way to stay on top of all that I had learned, all that I was learning, and even to reach out, because in high school, if I was a little bit lost, it was fairly easy to get back into the groove of things, but in university, that's something that I am even still perfecting. It's to reach out, that there's a lot of resources here for me that I still haven't unlocked, or something that I could even use more. And so it was definitely a little bit at first just a little shift for me to really like get into like, oh, this is important. Like you need to really analyze all of these things so that you don't get behind. But it's been really helpful now that all my classes aren't too crazy for me because it's like, oh, I do remember these things and I am capable of learning because it's all building on top of each other.
There's from time to time people question the value of a university education. They question the cost of a university education. I disagree with that because I know that we've seen study after study that people who get a degree, they're serious about focus and career, they make more money. I mean, tell me about you. You have this finance degree, so you're going into the job market. Mm-hmm. What's your ultimate goal? Where will you start? Where do you want to go?
So I want to start at a commercial bank, and either side, whether it's like with people in sales or even the back end of things like underwriting, I feel like either way would give me that knowledge and just really experience in there and just get a feel of like what it's like in a business realm like that, like a commercial bank. And so that's my goal right now, right after graduating. In the future, I would love to really branch out, kind of like back to my like homeschooling experience. I would love to be something like an independent like financial tech analyst where maybe they don't necessarily have the same schedule as someone who works at a bank, but they're more working on their own, like company to company, where they're just kind of moving around. Because I do know that I work a little bit better maybe independently, but working on like other like collaborating things. But really that's my end goal to see if I could get to that spot. Because that even there, something that's really personal to me is that I really do want to help people, small businesses or just big businesses in general, become better at their finances. That's always been a very valuable like lesson to me, just learning about money and like how we can be financially literate, how we can really thrive, and not just to get more money, just so that we can use that to glorify God, because we do live in a world where things are constantly like going around day to day, but to use that kind of like a taboo, like, oh, money, but use that, that's a part of this world and we can use it for the glory of God and use that to start so many things, nonprofits or for-profits for God. So really kind of revolutionizing that, even just idea that those two can't mix, that they can mix, and pretty beautifully whenever you let God take the wheel on that.
Well, no question. 1 Timothy 6:10 doesn't say money's the root of all evil. It says the love of money is. And as we know, anything to be successful has to have strong management of stewardship of the funds that come our way. What gave you that interest in money? Did it start in high school that your mom took you through Dave Ramsey or what?
I would say it started probably earlier on. Like some kids, I got an allowance growing up when I did, certain chores or certain things that were asked of me. And from a young age, I think my family could tell you, I was just a big saver. I would never have things that I want to spend my money on, on the daily basis. I would make really, I'd save enough for a big purchase. And so I remember my first big purchase was, I think back in 2011 or 2012, and it was the first iPod Touch. It first released and it had that bigger screen. Everyone was so amazed by it, and I took one look at it and said I want it. And so I started, with the money actually I had already saved up until then. I hadn't really spent anything. I used it and I bought that iPod Touch, and it was really awesome. I got to kind of like have that as my own, and even if someone had bought it for me, I would be super appreciative. But there was another level of, oh, I really like earned this in a sense. I used this money that I had in my own possession to buy it. And so since then, I really still have those saving tendencies. But now that I'm in my classes, saving is probably not the goal. In a lot of different classes, it's investing and like learning to do it wisely, which is a crazy concept at first to me, because I'm like, oh, it's not going to be in my possession. But learning about like how to strategically do it, and even the different methods and analysis that you can do on it, it's so interesting to me. And so with that, I'm learning just different things like what you can do with your own resources and finances. So it's really been pretty revolutionary for me to be in university learning about that in specific, because it's always been important to me. But now I can do it in a better way with what I've learned.
Yeah, I've always felt like a high school student, junior or senior, should be taught money management. I know I did. I was never taught that. And I think a college student should, because, one of the strong contributing factors to divorce is the conflict over money. And money is almost synonymous with America. And it's unfortunate people who literally torch everything for the pursuit of money. Yeah. So it is a huge topic in the Bible. It's mentioned hundreds of times. I really applaud you. Take a moment, if you would, and just look in that camera. And there's a student just like Vanessa that's thinking about coming to HBU, and they're not quite sure if they should, and they've got the same set of questions you have and some more. Why would you encourage them to come here?
I would encourage you to come here because it really is a great investment. And sometimes it is daunting to see, sometimes what you see on paper is different statements, but every single thing that you give financially to be here at HBU becomes so worth it when you realize that the potential that you have after really it's unlimited, because you really could be graduated and go after so many different things. I know that on my time here, I kind of had a very closed point of view into where I would go after, just because I didn't feel like I was good enough or I was smart enough to kind of reach those titles and those jobs and those different positions. But now I do work on campus, and it's an on-campus job. And with that, as long as in addition to my classes, I would say I've had my perspective opened up to where it's not just that, I've become good enough because it just happened that way, but I've been molded by this university through different classes, different people, different staff. And I feel like a lot of those positions or things that felt so out of reach are now so attainable in a great way. And I feel so prepared and so just honored by the time being here. So it really is a great investment.
Vanessa, we're so proud of you, and what a great light you are for Christ. You're going to have a dynamic future. This is a great story that reminds us just how important it is that HBU is there to help receive students who know Christ and yet aspire great career goals. You're going to do that, and you're going to do it very successfully. You can learn more about HBU and the Archie Dunham College of Business, which is right here on the campus of HBU, named after a really phenomenal business icon, Archie Dunham, chairman of Chesapeake Oil, a phenomenal man, phenomenal family, and yet a great Christian man. He embodies all the principles we've discussed. Learn more about HBU at hbu.edu/admissions, 281-649-3211. Our graduate school, hbu.edu grad, 281-649-3269. And remember, you can also come to HBU online. And maybe the pandemic that's become an endemic, that'll soon be bye-bye and the whole world will be happier, has left you just saying, I want to go to school online, or I've got a job to manage. hbuonline.com, 855-428-1960. Join students in 42 other states that go to Houston Baptist University online. We are really proud of you. Keep on letting your light shine. It's going to really be exciting to see what happens to you in the future, and I know you'll do well.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here. It's really been a huge blessing.